If this is your first time listening, I'd like to welcome you. You are listening to a podcast that's going to help you practice your English listening. So, this podcast is for English learners who can't yet understand native speech. This podcast is for people that want to listen to authentic English, but English that's a little bit clearer and a little bit slower than real normal English. So, in this episode, I'm going to talk about my trip to Peru. So I took a trip to Peru about 2.5 years ago, and I was thinking about it recently, and I thought it would be a good topic to talk about for the podcast. Okay, let's get started. Are your ears ready? You know what time it is. It's listening time. All right, so let's get started. First of all, I want to mention that this podcast episode will not be very informative. I'm not going to teach you about Peru because honestly, I don't know that much about the country. But I'm going to tell you about my experience there. I'll just tell you a little bit about my trip and the things I saw, the places I went to, etc. It'll be an interesting topic for you to listen to as you practice your comprehension skills. So, first of all, I flew from Guadalajara, Mexico to Mexico City. This was my first leg of the trip. I didn't fly directly to Peru because I don't think there are any direct flights from Guadalajara to Peru. There might be, but I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any. And so first I went to Mexico City, and I actually spent 2 nights there. Then, after that, I flew from Mexico City to Lima, Peru. And I didn't fly alone because my friend actually went with me on the trip. I guess I should tell you about him now. He's the one who actually paid for my trip to go to Peru. We met at the airport there, and we flew directly to Lima, Peru. However, we didn't stay in Lima. Lima was just the stop before our final destination, which was Cusco. I'm sure some of you already predicted that, right? Cusco is the city that most tourists want to go to when they go to Peru because of Machu Picchu, right? It's close to that historical archaeological site. So, we didn't get to see Lima. We just stayed in the airport there. And then we flew to Cusco. So when we got to Cusco, we actually didn't take a taxi from the airport to the main city because we thought, it's early and we have time to kill. So why don't we just walk from the airport to the city? The city of Cusco is really nice. It's really cute, as we would call it. It's definitely a charming city. It's a place where you probably want to take some cool pictures on the different street corners and take pictures in the main square. And it's a nice city overall. It's definitely a touristic city because people arrive from all over the world to go to Machu Picchu. So you have many tourists in Cusco year-round, I think. We went in October, if I'm not mistaken. People there, at least in that part of Peru, are pretty short on average. The people are not very tall. And so it was funny because I'm pretty tall. I'm about 186 centimeters, I think. But my friend, he's very tall. So I think he's 203, if I'm not mistaken. So he's very tall. And so the people there, the locals, they were amazed to see someone that tall in their city. So on 2 occasions, the locals stopped us and asked us to take a photo with them because they were so amazed about how tall my friend was. So they literally stopped us and said, "Hey, can we take a photo with you?" And then the different family members took turns taking pictures with my friend and sometimes with me and my friend. But it was a funny experience for sure. So, let's talk about Machu Picchu. This is the main attraction of Peru. This is the #1 site that everyone wants to visit. And for good reason, because let me tell you, it's unbelievable. It's an incredible place. I'm sure that if you've been there before, you would agree with my statement. It's really cool. And so in order to get to Machu Picchu, you first have to take some kind of bus or taxi or something to a train station, and then you get on this train, and then it takes you through a really beautiful nature landscape to the base of the mountain where Machu Picchu is. So after you get off that train, you have to take another bus to get up to the top of the mountain where Machu Picchu is. So, when we got up to the top of the mountain, we realized very quickly that we were very high in the sky. The altitude was very high there. I can't remember the exact number, but I can tell you for sure that it was high. And we realized this very quickly because we were short of breath. When you're short of breath, that means that you're having trouble breathing normally. You breathe more forcefully. You have to breathe very fast to make sure you don't pass out, right? If you pass out, that means you faint, you lose consciousness, you fall asleep, so to say. So you have to breathe very fast, and you have to take a lot of breaks when you're walking, because it's very difficult for your heart to deal with that altitude. So it was a challenge for us to walk up and down those stairs at the top of the mountain, but it was worth it because in a very short time we had arrived at the viewpoint of Machu Picchu.